It's the three-headed Hydra made with remnants of the future fused into a disaster of the past. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew and today is the final SH MonsterArts review for now, until I get more MonsterArts figures, which who knows when that'll be. Today is going to be the SH MonsterArts King Ghidorah 1991 original version. Yes, before there was the special color edition, before there was the Mecha King Ghidorah, before there was the King Ghidorah 2019 and the special color in King Ghidorah 2019 and the final battle version of Mecha King Ghidorah, there was this guy. The OG Ghidorah from early MonsterArts. So, this guy I was saving for last because, spoilers, he's actually my personal favorite of the Godzilla MonsterArts figures I currently own. Mainly just because, like, he's so special in my collection. He's the only 6-inch scale hyper-articulated Ghidorah figure I currently own because, at least as of recently, there wasn't a lot of him. And I was constantly trying to hunt down a Ghidorah that wasn't the GMK Bandai Ghidorah because, like, I've had close contacts with the Jack Specific. I've had many close contacts with the movie Monster series Ghidorah, and just over and over again, those two just never played out until I eventually got the Playmates one, although I did get this guy a little bit before the Playmates. But that said, if we're talking strictly about 6-inch Ghidorahs, this is what we're looking at here. This big golden behemoth. But with that said, is this guy truly as grand as I say? Or am I just letting my cloud of judgment, cloud my judgment? Let's find out. So just for a bit of context, I got this guy in the summer of 2024 off a secondhand seller that was selling this guy and the other Godzilla figures, the MonsterArts Ultima and the NECA Godzilla 2014 reissue version, in a lot, which, thank you, seller. I will buy from you again if you're listening to anything Godzilla related. So yeah. Anyway, so because of that, I did end up getting this guy a bit cheap. The condition of this guy was actually like used like new, I would say, because there wasn't anything broken on this guy until my move came in and the wing sadly snapped, but I did glue it back in place and it is fixed just like new. So with that said, there was some caveat to it, which meant no box and no stands, but I did end up getting 3 gravity beams. This is the accessories phase, by the way. So these are the original gravity beams that came with the original release King Ghidorah. So we're just gonna take a look at one of them. So for years, after seeing like a ton of stuff covering this guy, I always thought that this these accessories from early MonsterArts figures, because I think, if I'm speaking chronologically, this was my first energy-based like beam attack accessory from a MonsterArts figure. I thought this thing was going to be rigid solid. Nope. It's flexible rubber. Well, maybe not rubber, but it is a flexible plastic. It does keep its shape no matter how far you bend it. But it is something that is worth noting, because like for the longest time I thought that if I just took this and lightly bent it right like a twig, nope, it's actually got some give to it, which thankfully Bandai back then knew to do that. I'm not saying they don't do that now. I mean, I don't own any of their newer release figures, probably never will, but hey, that is actually a pretty nice thing. So obviously this is Ghidorah's gravity beam, which if you have not seen the 1991 film, is basically like a string of electricity and lightning mixture, and actually does some pretty significant damage to not necessarily Godzilla himself, because he is able to shrug off a lot of the gravity beams in the film, but also able to blow up things like the ground, several buildings, etc. So a pretty destructive beam attack nonetheless. So here would be the tip of the beam itself. It's basically just translucent piss yellow. I'm sorry, but like that's the only color I can really use to describe it. There is like little details of which they're like infused in the beam, and I do like how it's not just one singular line. There is like these mini gaps within it, like here and here as well, Got another one down here. A few more here, and then it kind of like get this small one, which kind of like gets cut off by there. And again, it really gives the illusion that this thing is an electricity piece. So effectively, you would have all three of them, which, as far as like the actual like sculpt and paint, they do have some differences. For example, this one has like an extra set down here of like the extra things hidden it. Not too much like else that's different. And of course, this one also has the 2 as well, although there is a much bigger gap between this and this, like part of the spark, part of the beam. And maybe it's like far as your counts as like how many extra like flares and zaps. I don't even know what to call them. I don't know. I watch Electro Boom. Okay, I'm still learning about electricity. Anyway, so yeah. Effectively, all 3 of the beams are the same exact color. They don't go in any like specific head, which, unlike the special color version, which I think had electricity beams based on the corresponding colors shown in the movie poster, which I think one was red, one was yellow, one was blue. I could be wrong about that. Effectively, these don't go in any specific mouth, which you would have actually been able to just slide it in, and I think you're good to go, right? Well, unfortunately, no. As I mentioned earlier, you would have needed some stands, not a flight stand, but a stand for this guy. Because I bought this used, mine does not come with the flight stand. The beam stand. Not the flight stand. The original didn't come with the flight stand. I think that was exclusive to the special color version. I don't know. I don't own it. I don't desire to own it. I would probably buy the MonsterArts 64 bootleg because they actually did come out with a 72 original, like official Ghidorah. But like that thing is like what, $300? And this is just kind of like a mild critique on my end. But why would you make something that expensive when there's a much cheaper alternative of what's effectively the same design? Because the 64 design wasn't a whole lot different from the 72 design. But anyways, that's a whole other bread and butter. So yeah, effectively you would have had this like Tamashii base that was like clear, square, and you've had like these arms. I think you got 3, and then like these little cradles. They don't like literally snap, but they rest like that. And you would have been able to just try to like, again, mimic it. You would have been able to like put it in like this. Imagine that blown up to scale. And there's no like peg hole, so you could rest this on like a proper stand, but like it would be pretty much a pain in the butt too. So yeah, effectively you would have gotten all that for this guy. As for the actual like stands, I can't rate them because I don't have them, so I'm gonna rate the beams as is. I like the attention to detail, and I do like the fact that they do have like some form of differences with each other. Like this one has 2 prongs, this one has a 3rd one, and this one also has a 3rd one, except it's a little bit larger, and it is kind of like waving in a bit of a different direction. So I'm gonna say for the gravity beams, it's nice that they're made of a soft plastic, so you can get a little bit of give to them. I really don't know how to rate these, honestly. I'm going to say 8 out of 10. Why 8 out of 10 as opposed to a 10 out of 10? Well, the thing is, because I don't own the stands, I can't really judge them in all of its entirety, and I feel like an 8 out of 10 for what's effectively 3 cool electricity beams, and then they're actually really well done. You know, I feel like that's a fair score to at least give, so that's my personal rating. So for starters, sculpt and paint. What is there to say about this thing? Well, all 3 of the head sculpts are pretty much identical, if not the exact same, so we're going to be primarily looking at one, the middle head. So, for the middle head, the eyes are going to be the standard slit eyes. Let's actually kind of get like a bit of a close personal look, if you will. There's a bit of fuzz because I have cats, and this thing's like almost 15 years old as of me recording this. So with that said, this eye has actually got like a bit of like a black outline and like a bit of a lightning bolt for the slitted eye. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but if that is, That's awesome. I mean, it is a decal, so they're able to be a bit more precise when it comes to the printing on these things. So I do imagine that it does. So looking at the head, a little bit of like white stuff. I'm pretty sure that's just dust. But this thing does have some like different color variations and whatnot. Hold on, let's test that theory right now. Nope, that's not dust. Okay, so yeah, there's something going up with the head here. Again, a little bit of fuzz. My Ghidorah here's got like a ton of gold to him, so it looks like very ancient, dragon-esque. I like the aesthetic of this thing. Let's take a look at the inside of the teeth. Actually, let's take a look at the nose here. I like the crown shape. That looks really nice here for the nose itself. Not too much going on with the nostrils here, but we do have like a brown wash kind of going throughout. The horns here do look nice with the little segmenting. The bottom jaw looks really nice as well. Speaking of the jaw here, let's open up the pie hole. The teeth here are individually sculpted and painted, almost looking like grappling hooks. So yeah, it's really feeding into like the Eastern dragon-esque design of which looks just really cool. And you can tell like Bandai really kept their what did you say, attention to detail with this, because it looks so close in the movie design. For the actual like inside of the mouth, because the teeth are pretty much consistent with each other, being a lot more like reddish and having a bit of white on the base of them. The bright red is making its full appearance with the teeth, or the gums here. Has a little bit of like green paint. I wonder where that's from. Green, Ghidorah's not green. Anyway, the tongue here is pretty much a matte plastic. No, it does not move. I found that nearly the hard way after I nearly broke the freaking thing. Okay, there's the green. Okay, forgot about that. But we do have like a brown to green kind of color format here, which looks really nice. So there is that. Oh crap, knocked my camera backward. Let's kind of move Ghidorah's bottom jaw. You can kind of see the red exposed there, but you're not going to have Ghidorah's head like this all the time. And if you are going to have Godzilla biting it. Anyway, so yeah, the bottom jaw here, a lot of nice segmenting and a lot of sharp points. So there is that to look forward to. Let's talk about the neck. The neck segments go down all the way to the base of it, keeps on going, and you're going to get all the individually sculpted horns here at the back, which looks pretty sweet. And let's kind of like max it out, because that's already kind of tripping me out anyway. So for let's kind of fix that. Okay, there we go. So there you go. That's at least the middle head. Just to give you guys some brief looks. Here is the right head. This is before they got their names in King of the Monsters, Ichi, Nee, and Kevin. And of course, here's the left head. So there you go. That's the heads. So going down here, we got the body, which the body is going to be casted in again, the same gold plastic that you've seen already. We got a lot of nice, like, intricate little diamond scale details that you find on Gigan and Ghidorah anyway. Well, I think Ghidorah came first, and Gigan kind of adopted that scheme. But we do have a lot of the nice, like, bumps and grooves. Like, you just rub your finger on this thing, you can feel all the intricate little details, of course. Especially if, like, your feeling sensitivity is high. You can just, like, feel a lot of that, and it's really cool looking. I know, like, personally, I probably would have preferred a much more, like, different, like, wash on this thing, just to give it some more color. But I understand, because, like, the movie design was like this. It was more one note than anything else, where it didn't, like, show mouths and noses and eyes, everything like that. But you do get, like, a little bit of a kind of like a concave here, and of course the what are Ghidorah's man breasts, for lack of a better term. And then of course you have the very small in proportion feet, which actually have like some paint variety. You have some brown here and here, as well as here and there. Not too much else here going on, but we do have some nice, like, more detail, and just kind of like show a lot more down figure itself, which looks very phenomenal. There we go. It's kind of annoying me. Just to gently flip this over because I don't want to ruin this thing. We have a bit of a few markings here. And of course, there's surprisingly no copyright information on this thing, which I wonder if this was like before they were doing copyright info on the feet. Anyway, that's just my theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. I know I'm not that Matthew, but I'm this Matthew. Anyway, so let's talk about the wings, because let's be honest, the wings are going to be the focal point of the figure. The wings are flat, of course, as wings are, but are very large. Here for like the transition, here we have like this extra piece of plastic which bridges the whole thing and has its own like set of details, although you can kind of notice that these details aren't as deep as this or this, so there's clearly a difference in terms of like the sculpted details. I actually forget which wing broke. I think it was this one. Was it? I think it might be, because I do see some extra super glue, but that's to help hold it anyway. So yeah, just to kind of like go back here. Ow, stabbing myself. Here we have like the whole wing set on display here. It's moving the twin tails. And you can just see all like, again, sorry, the tails and the proportions of this guy are very large. You can just see all of like the metallic paint job finish, the reflective plastic, the very smoothed out plastic on purpose to kind of like give it the membrane it needs so Ghidorah can naturally fly, even though there's nothing really realistic about it. And of course the spiked appendages on the sides of the wings. Just going over here, again you can kind of see the more organic kind of like stretches in the skin. Those look really nice. And of course, topping it off back here, we have all the individually ball jointed tail segments, which again we'll talk about in the articulation section. But more or less, it has all the same like diamond-esque paintwork you're accustomed to. Of course, there's the tail clubs here. And they're actually pretty damn sharp. Like, I would actually probably get wounded if I tried something funny with it. Not that I would. Although, then again, Godzilla figures have made me bleed in the past. I'm trying to, like, recall which figure in the past have actually made me bleed. I think it was maybe the Mechagodzilla 2019. I think it was either V1 or V2. Because I do remember one of the Mechagodzillas did make me bleed at some point. But, so yeah, a little bit more like the clubs here. So just for one final shot here at the back, it's like, yeah, there you go. Just like that. Oh, shoot, hold on. A little bit to this side. And of course here, I can't do like the undershot because this thing is just way too large for that. But for the sculpt in paint, I'm honestly kind of shocked that this thing is as good as it is. Why? Because let me put it this way. Ghidorah was never supposed to be a colorful kaiju, and the more color and paint that's on a figure, the more like you would have to work with. And when you really throw in the idea of a Ghidorah figure in this scale with this sort of budget, it doesn't really sound good at first concept, but MonsterArts really knocked it out of the park with the sculpt and paint. There's very little for me to talk about, complain about, sorry. Maybe some extra dry brushing for things like the faces or like the chest area, but that's really just it. I dig what we have here. Personally, I'm going to rate this a 9 out of 10, 9.5 actually, because there's just not that much to complain about, realistically. So I love this thing, what we have here. For the articulation, which we can finally move on to the articulation, the jaw is going to be on a ball peg here. So it's kind of like, you can open up about this far, close up about like this, because the teeth do kind of like interlock with each other like this. It is kind of like hard to kind of get that right motion. It is also, again, on a ball peg, so you can kind of like swivel it from side to side, go like this, kind of like wiggle it around. So it does kind of like take some extra getting used to as far as like the articulation. It's not just a straight up hinge, but also do keep in mind that if you do that enough, the teeth will start to scrape up against each other. So that's something I would not realistically recommend. The head here is actually on a ball peg, so you can go up, down, side to side, rotate a little bit. And of course from there you got a series of ball pegs, so you can go down about this far, which is actually pretty far up, sorry, far down. Go this far back for the head, the middle head at least. Let's try to at least factoring in the other heads. Come on, guys. So yeah, you can kind of get these guys looking straight ahead in case if you really want to get into like a flying pose, but I don't have a stand that's strong enough, or let alone a stand in general that would be able to hold this guy up. So yeah, they can all go down, left and right, all that good stuff. And it's also multi-segmented. So as per the actual count, do I really have to count it? Counting the head segment, there's 1, 2, 3. Wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3 joints. Okay, that one's tight. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, there we go. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I'm assuming? If that's a 12th, whatever. 11 or 12 segments for the entire neck. So, there we go. That's the necks. We can move on. Let's talk about the waist first. The waist. You get a singular ball peg here for the waist, so that you can go side to side a little bit, forward and back. Not too much in the way of rotation. It's a little limited because of like how interlocking the figure is, because of like the design. And not to mention, if you try bending it down, god damn it, the tail fell off. It'll pretty much like interlock itself and essentially just form a lot of gaps, so it wouldn't really help anyway. But for the wings here, I think this is the one that already broke, but we can go up and down like this and up and down like that. There is a mild swivel, but I would not recommend that personally. So with this one actually feels a little looser than the one on the right does, so I'm not going to mess with that one. The legs here, very limited. Of course, being early MonsterArts, where the articulation wasn't necessarily the best, but where you can go up and down like this at this leg. That's literally it, by the way. Hinges for the knee, as well as a singular calf joint. Doesn't really do a whole lot, and a ball peg here at the ankle. This knee, actually, this leg, does a little bit more by going this far back, this far forward, and a little up and down. Bend at the knee, and a not existent calf joint, I guess. And we do have a ball joint here at the foot, and a series of ball joints here for the tail. So combining the two tails together, you can go kind of like straighten out, like, oh god damn it, again. There you go. You can kind of go like that, curl up. You know, fine. You want to stay up? Fine. So we can also kind of like bend down like this. It's a very long, prehensile, non-pop outable tail. Totally. But you can also do the... yeah, I'm going to be right back. If you play your cards right, you can also twist the tails. I don't recall if they did this in the movie. Probably not, but then again, that's what Godzilla is for. But yeah, that's basically the extent of the articulation. They go all the way down to about... They go about up to here on the actual tail tips, so there's a lot to kind of like look forward to when it comes to the movement. So for the classic 91 original release Ghidorah's articulation, he's very expressive. You can see why he's my favorite. Is he something I would recommend fiddling around with? No. Because one break and this thing's toast. Unless you can accurately put your wing back in with glue like I did and have it practically back to pristine condition. That said, This is surprisingly very expressive, even for 2012, 2011, 2012 standards. I don't remember the exact release date when this thing was actually released. 2011 was when the MonsterArts line began with the 94 Godzilla. That said, I think that this guy does have some drawbacks. The limited legs do kind of like get in the way of like more intricate poses. The wings are fragile as hell, and the most expressive parts are going to be the limbs, specifically the more elongated limbs, like the the three heads, and the two golf clubs we call tails with spikes back there, minus the one that's on the right. That thing's a problem child. But realistically, I find a lot of enjoyment. So I'm going to rate the articulation here an 8 out of 10. Very good. So for some size comparison and size reference, here he is compared next to some basic 6-inch Heisei Godzilla hyper-articulated action figures, both of the NECA variety, because sadly I do not own anything HIYA or MonsterArts that is from the Heisei era, specifically Godzilla himself, with the 89, the closest thing I have to 6-inch 91, and the 1994 Godzilla, which is in very piss poor condition. If you're wondering in specific, when I was like 12, I popped the head off, and this thing was practically notorious for having one of the worst head connections. So my solution to the head popping off was literally super glue. And what happened was the super glue ran down the neck and infused it all together. The glue ran down the dorsal plate, so you can actually kind of like see the remnants of where the glue ran down, and eventually seeped right into this bottom peg joint, the tail here. I don't even care if I break this thing or not. It holds very little value to me, aside from the nostalgia factor anyway, because I do plan on replacing this thing eventually. Essentially making this guy a husk of his former self. That said, I'm going to do something fun with the 89 and 91 here. And here he is compared next to some other Heisei era 6-inch figures with the Playmates Godzilla Toho series Destroya and the Bandai MonsterArts Fukuoka Final Battle version Space Godzilla, which I'm so happy to have these two together because, in my personal opinion, Space Godzilla and Ghidorah are my favorite Godzilla adversaries. But Destroya, oh my gosh, just imagine if I had the MonsterArts version. Just literally imagine. For now, I guess the Playmates one will do. I would buy a Playmate, I would save up for a Destroya, but right now I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and we have some very unfinished business with the world of NECA, don't we? And here he is compared next to some more Millennium era Godzilla figures with the MonsterArts 2002 and the NECA 2003 from against Mechagodzilla and Tokyo SOS respectively. And for the final size comparison, here he is compared next to the Bandai, Bandai America Ghidorah 2001 from Godzilla Mothra King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters and a lot of attack, and the not Bandai, sorry. I'm saying Bandai a lot, you know, it's a Bandai review, got a few Bandai figures, whatever. The Mezco 5.XL Destroy All Monsters Round 2 Ghidorah 64 from Destroy All Monsters. So you can kind of see like the evolution of my Ghidorah figures. It went from this to this and now to this. I do intend on picking up another Ghidorah figure like in this scale sometime. I'm aiming towards the 2019 Ghidorah from HIYA Toys because I do think it's about time I do own a proper 6-inch scale Ghidorah from King of the Monsters. That's the one I've been eyeing for like years since the MonsterArts one came out. But since HIYA Toys is doing them, let's pick that one up, you know? Ah, see? I told you I'd be doing something cool with these two. Anyway, with that being said, what do I overall think of this figure? He is amazing. His sculpt is absolutely phenomenal. His paint could use a little bit of dry brushing, but at the same time, that is just a minor nitpick. It's such a great use of the gold color that realistically, I don't really think I would have necessarily needed anything else beyond that. The articulation is so expressive where there is proper articulation, like when I mean like more unlimited, like the tails and the necks. And stuff like the wings being a little bit fragile and the legs being a bit restrictive, I can understand why, because this was early MonsterArts, but I definitely think it could use some work, which I do think in more recent figures they've definitely updated that. But the accessories too are a welcome addition. Do I recommend this guy in 2025 though? That's a bit of a tough pill for me to swallow. Why? Because this guy is rare, highly sought after, at least in pristine condition. I got this guy used and I fixed him right up. I think that I walked away happy. Do I intend on getting the HIYA version that's out now? No. I'm content with this one. And plus, I'd rather not have bendy wires in my wings. Hey, a little attack at HIYA, isn't it? Not really. I just don't agree with the way that the wings are done on that figure. But what I do agree with is this. If you are looking for a 91 Ghidorah specifically, I would honestly just recommend getting the HIYA version. It's a lot more cheaper, it's a lot more available, it's a lot more out there right now than the MonsterArts one is, because as far as like circulation goes, the rarity of this thing keeps going up and the prices go up each and every day. That said, I'm content with mine. I would say pay no more than $200 at best for even just a used one. That's like my personal top. If you can find it new in the box for maybe like $215, that's scratching the surface, but anything beyond that, no. Steer clear of this thing. But again, if you want to revisit something of the past like this, absolutely. So with a final score of 9 out of 10, I'm going to close out this review by saying thank you guys for watching, and I'll see, if you enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Again, as for figure reviews, there's a lot more coming, and there's one figure in particular that I've been looking forward to for the past 5 years, and I might very well be getting soon. But as for MonsterArts itself on the channel, we'll have to wait, because I am eyeing another MonsterArts figure, but we'll just see, because he's a little bit, how do I say this? He's feeling a little bit gray. See you guys next time. Peace out.